Salam alaikum, and it's a great honor to join you here today. And I want to first of all congratulate Uzbekistan for joining the international community that compares itself regularly through PISA. Yes, PISA provides a ranking, but most importantly, it is a platform through which countries learn to work and learn from each other and with each other about how to improve the educational agenda. So my congratulations. Yesterday, together with Mr. Tashkinbaf, I visited the State Inspectorate and I was very impressed about the arrangements Uzbekistan has put in place to reliably look at the outcomes of education through PISA. In the past, we compared education by looking at how many students are enrolled, how much money do we spend, and all of that. But the truth is, what matters really is what students know and what they can do with what they know. So PISA will provide a picture of this. And it is a courageous step for the country because it is not just looking at the improvement from the past, but it is looking how the country performs against the most advanced education systems in the world. Many of them had not just decades, but centuries to invest in where they are today. So my congratulations to this, and I wanted to share a few lessons with you. I want to start with actually highlighting some misconceptions that often exist about education and that we can actually start to sort of analyze, then to look at what makes the most advanced education system succeed. What have we learned through international comparisons? And then talk a little bit about the most difficult part. And that is to actually make change in education happen. And education is not so easy to order improvement. Improvement happens at the front line, in the classroom. It really means bringing everybody on board. It means making education a whole of society project that needs, great teachers. It needs great leaders. It needs great parents who all work on this together. Let's start with sort of the easiest part. And I still struggle. About 15 years ago, we got those little devices into our hands, the smartphones. And then soon after, the virtual world and the real world became integrated. And then shortly after, everybody got connected. And this has opened up amazing possibilities for all of us. We can actually collaborate, compete, connect with people all around the world. Our economies have got integrated. It does not matter whether you sit here in Tashkent or in New York or in Tokyo. You can actually contribute, collaborate internationally. But it has also made education a lot more difficult. In the 20th century, teaching people to read was very easy. It was about extracting text from books that, authors had written. We had a very few people who managed the television and the newspaper to manage what we know. When you didn't know the answer to a question, you could look it up in an encyclopedia and you could trust that answer to be true. Today, young people look up knowledge on Google or other platforms. And nobody tells them what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is not true. Literacy today is no longer just about extracting knowledge, it's about constructing knowledge. Very different skill set. And you can say the same in science. In the past, science was about knowledge in physics and chemistry, biology. What matters today is, can you think like a scientist? Can you design an experiment? Can you distinguish questions that are scientifically investigable from questions that are not? Very different skill set. The modern world no longer rewards you just for what you know. Now, Google knows everything. The modern world rewards you for what you can do with what you know. That is the big differentiator. And that is, I think, the focus in Uzbekistan on competency. Not just, we've always known how to educate second-class robots, people who are very good at repeating what we told them. But what will make us human in a world of artificial intelligence is our capacity to mobilize our cognitive, social, emotional resources, to think for ourselves, to work with people who are different from us, to live with the planet. When you look at the use of technology, you can see that for most young people today, the real digital world has become the real world. Around the world, people spend between 20, 30, 40, sometimes almost 50 hours online every week. And actually a good part of that in school, that's the yellow part. Once again, the digital world has become the real world. But being born into the digital world doesn't mean that we are digital natives. When we looked in PISA at the share of young people who can actually, navigate information, distinguish fact from opinion, integrate different information sources, contrast, critique, you can see, in countries like Singapore, Korea, parts of China, those bars are very long. But even there, you have 40% of young people difficulties navigating the world. In many other countries, the majority of young people have access to technology, but they have not use the technology for improving their lives. Everybody can use their mobile phone, but once again, can you use it to actually, actively navigate the world around you? That is the big question about our time. And you can see we have, advanced much further with the technologies than with our capacities to use them. So that's really, I think, the world in which we live and the world that we need to sort of improve. Let me just advance. Let me sort of move on to sort of some misunderstandings in education. One clearly is, the idea that poverty is destiny. I want to show you some data from Brazil. On the vertical axis, you see the schools in their success on PISA. The higher the bullets, the better the school performs. The lower the dot, the worse the school performs. On the horizontal axis, you see the social background of schools. To the right are schools that live in more privileged neighborhoods. To the left, you can see schools that live in poorer neighborhoods. And you can say, yes, there is a relationship between poverty and school performance. But you can also see there are a lot of exceptions. You can see some schools in disadvantaged neighborhoods in Brazil actually providing very good results, and some schools in wealthy areas only delivering results that are so-so. That is why it is so important to look at the quality of outcomes. Still, many countries look at this graph and they say, yeah, but poverty is still a very important determinant for success in education. It's true in Brazil. But now, compare those results with Vietnam. You can see Vietnam is even poorer than Brazil in the social context in which it operates. But the dots are much, much higher. A country like Vietnam can show us, actually, you can, even in a poor context, deliver excellent education. So poverty need not be destiny. And you can see that very clearly when you put the two countries next to each other. They're both not wealthy countries, but one has actually, despite adverse conditions, produced good results, while the other is still struggling. And this is a message to Uzbekistan. Yes, the country will need time to become a middle income and a higher income country. But what it can achieve today is to build the foundations for this through a world-class education system. And that is exactly what countries like Korea, Singapore have done. You put education first. Now your schools today will be your economy tomorrow, and you can actually do that.